till I want to care for you. It's just the way we are tonight. Well, I will keep my promise true until I want to care for you. I will keep my promise true until I want to care with you.
That was videoed by myself at Croydon Football Club in November 1993. I'm Tony's brother Alan, and that was the last time I saw Tony perform live, as he died the following July. Johnny SS and I have put together this video of some of the highlights and not too many of the lowlights of the life and times of Tony Vincent. We thank the many friends and fans who have contributed much of the following material. We hope you enjoy our offering as much as we enjoyed putting it together.
Ain't got no home, no place to roam. I ain't got no home, no place to roam. Well, I'm a lonely boy. I ain't got a home, I ain't got a farm, I ain't got no mother, I ain't got a sister, not even a brother. Well, I'm a lonely boy. I ain't got a home. Sing like a girl, I now sound like a fraud. Well, I'm a lonely boy, I ain't got no home. I ain't got a father, I ain't got no mother, I ain't got a sister, not even a brother. Well, I'm only free, I ain't got a home. Why you beating me? Why you beating me? Why you beating me? Why you beating me? Well, I'm only free, I ain't got a home. I ain't got no home, no place to roam. I ain't got no home, no place to roam. Well, I'm a lonely boy, I ain't got no home. I ain't got no home.
Needing no introduction to most people, Frank Sutton was a lifelong friend of Tony's.
I can't remember the first time I met him. It was, I was in a pushchair, he was in a pushchair. Our mothers had been friends from school days, going back in the 1920s, and they remained friends ever since. And they used to push us about Worcester Park High Street in our pushchairs, and we did the normal things that kids do. We grew up, and I used to meet him at the Saturday morning pictures, the picture show up at Worcester Park, or the Granada at Cheam, I seem to remember. And after the show, we'd come out and act out the film we'd just seen. It might be Roy Rogers or Gene Hoppy. They all had strange names like Gene and Hoppy and stuff like that. And they were our heroes of the silver screen. It was fabulous, and we'd come out and we'd act it all out on the way home, stuff like that. Then the years went by and we got into our adolescent years, and I used to meet him in the record shop. We'd be buying the latest Elvis record, whatever, and our heroes had changed from the silver screen to the heroes of the black plastic disc, and this was an innovation to me and to Tony, and sounds were coming out in the mid-50s that we'd never experienced before. And strange names again, Gene and Buddy and Elvis, and names that we'd never come across in this country. Sounds of instruments had changed. We grew up on Frank Sinatra and Workers' Playtime and Bing Crosby. All of a sudden, Heartbreak Hotel suddenly came on the radio, and we'd never heard anything like it. And it was quite startling. Quite startling. And we thought, my God, I'd love to do that.
Right, Charlie Robertson.
Tony's first group to work the circuit in the early 60s was the Orbits. Doug and Terry were original drummer and bass player with that group.
That's when it started in 61.
Yeah.
Who brought Tony up? Was it Dick brought Tony up to the...
Did you know Dick?
Oh yeah, I went to school with Dick.
Well, I didn't.
Well, that's how you got to know Tony then.
Yeah. Although I had met Tony prior to that, but I didn't know that he actually played guitar. You know, but I mean, you know, we was having a chat, me and Terry was having a chat, so I mean, me and Terry lived in the same road. Right? Me and Terry was having a chat, we knew Dick, and then it sort of just snowballed from there. I mean, Dick says, oh, I know a lead guitarist, he'll come along, and we just sort of got together, like, you know. And that was like the first practice down at the Rose Park Library.
And that was under the Orbits, or...?
No, we decided to have the name as the Manxman, it was. once we sort of got established, got a little bit better gear, and I mean, it's bits and pieces as things went along.
That's when Dick's dad took over as our manager, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And we went through all sorts of different things. I mean, we was nearly called Tony in the Pontiacs, weren't we, at one time? Do you remember that?
I didn't want to be a Pontiac.
But
No, you're not quite the right size.
and then we ended up with Bell Spikings, and we was the
That's him there, isn't it?
yeah, that's him in there, guy in the front there. We was in Delphire and the Saints, that was.
Yeah.
And then I think after that we was managed by Trudell there, weren't we?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, Ron Trudell.
Yeah.
And we broke away from him, and I think that's when we became the Orbits.
And then Les sponsored us with all the gear we wanted, didn't he? When
That's
we bought all the
right.
gear, and we had to pay him back tuppence a month or whatever
Yeah,
it happened to be
whatever.
at that time. And
Yeah.
then we got put in these red glittery suits with black collars
Oh,
and
that-
cuffs. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
well, it was,
no, they're the ones there.
Yeah, someone on this picture.
They're the glitter suits. Well, Lamy jackets, in which my mum made.
Can you face it forward a bit? What's on the
was
line?
that Christmas
Face it
card,
forward.
wasn't it?
Oh, is it?
Forward.
Forward.
Hold it there. Might get that.
So my mum made all the Lamy jackets and everything, with all the velvet collars and
Yeah,
cuffs.
with the old sewing machine.
Well, yeah, she was.
Then we had to wear high heel shoes.
Yeah, in Cuba,
I
little
never
shirt.
really
I mean,
did. I
that
tried
was,
L plates on mine for the first couple of
Well,
days.
then
They're falling off.
Yeah, that's it.
I did. I put L plates on them.
Yeah, he broke his heels always and used to walk backwards. Where did we go from there? Oh, we ended up with Dave Allen, didn't we?
Everyone is going out and having fun. I'm a cooper staying home and having none. I can't get over how she set me free. Oh, lonesome me. I bet she's not like me, going out and fancy.
And that's what we were going to be, really, just an instrumental thing.
Yeah,
And Dave Allen came in and gave us a bit of a boost with the singing thing, and
yeah.
he pissed off and married some Swedish girl, dirty git, and we never saw him anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, then Tony just took it out.
Tony took it up. Dick did the backing, you did some backing as well,
Yeah.
and I did the odd ooh-ah in the background,
Yeah,
I can't
I mean,
remember
it's
the words.
Not what you're doing now.
I don't do that now.
But as I say, I mean, you know, it was. How can you say? I suppose you just became our front man, really, didn't he?
And he never looked back on me.
No. I mean, it just things went from good to better to better to better. I mean,
I can't deny that when you say goodbye, you make me feel bad. I lost everything I had, but I will never be the same. And you're the only one to blame for everything this loneliness will bring. Oh, I never thought I'd doubt you, and now I just can't live without you. These lonely days, the thoughts I'm trying to erase, I just can't get you off my mind. How could you be so unkind? But I will never be the same, and you're the only one to blame for everything this loneliness will bring.
I mean, at the time when we was in the Orbits, I mean, we had a tremendous following, didn't we? I mean, people were travelling all over the place to see us play.
I remember
But I
that
mean-
night we played, I can't remember where it was, and we couldn't get out of the dressing room. There was a load of females in there, and one come up to me and she said, what was it, Tom? Come up to one of us and said, can I touch your pen?
Oh, I can't remember.
Unfortunately, I had a biro at the time, you know, so I knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted to nick my pen.
I mean, there were some funny times really. I mean, it's you know, you can laugh at some of it now, like, you know, but I mean, at the time you felt important, you know what I mean? Important to people.
Before CSA, it became Rockmobile.
I heard you talk about this before.
Yeah. Well, that I don't know when it started. I really cannot remember. For one, Alan might be able to remember.
Yeah, because I think there was a sort of a time lapse there, wasn't it? Because I wasn't involved with it.
No.
But I mean, I was, because I was playing with Pauline at the time, wasn't I?
Yeah.
My sister, Bob, and yeah, and that's, you see where Tony is, because Rockmobile started, and for some reason, I don't know, you all broke up, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then Tony came in with Pauline for a while, didn't he?
That's right. I was with Impalas I was with him for about three and a half years, I think, with Tony Clayton and Impalas. And Tony was with the Rock and Roll All Stars, wasn't he?
Well, I'm walking, yes indeed I'm talking about you and me. I'm hoping that you'll come back to me. Oh yeah, I'm lonely as I can be. I'm waiting for your company. I'm hoping that you'll come back to me. Well, what you gonna do when the well runs dry? Are you gonna run away and hide? I'm gonna run right by your side. For you, pretty baby, I'd even die. I'm walking, yes indeed I'm talking about you and me. I'm hoping that you'll come back to me.
I don't know exactly how we managed to get back together again, but I packed up with Impalas for a while. And then I think Tony was either fed up with it or...
I'll tell you, I think I know you ended up together, because if you remember, when Tony joined Pauline's group, right, Cliff was the manager, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Right, and he wanted to do the managing and pack up bass.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then you come and play bass. Do you remember?
That's right, yeah.
And there was us three back again. It was. You know, because I was already playing it, because my brother's sister, my brother-in-law. Tony had joined as a lead guitarist. And then Terry joined. It wasn't long after that I bloody well left again, didn't I?
Yeah. Well,
I packed up again.
It's all your fault.
But it was then, when I packed up then, right, I packed up for good. I sold the drums, I sold the lot. You know, I don't know, I was just...
And I'd had enough of playing English country garden and carpenter.
Well, that's right. I mean, it was a sort of soft.
So I remember going round to Tony and said, do you fancy starting something else up, because I'm just finished with what we're doing now. I can't handle it anymore. Yeah. And that's really the start of CSA, yeah.
Now look at here, here she comes. Here comes the girl again. And she don't seem to go nowhere. She don't notice me when I pass. She going on a girl, some hell of a pass. Some summer and I'm thinking to myself, she sure might look at my wife, she's someone else. Now look at there, across the street. Yeah, they call me Josephine. Do you want to call me a luxury? I'm running down a pink for the gas. I'm running drinking full of bullets out of my pants. Some summer and I'm thinking to myself, that calls finding a man, wow, that's something else. Now look at that, across the street. Yeah, they call me Josephine. Do you want to call me a luxury? I'm running down a pink for the gas. I'm bringing drinking full of bullets out of my pants. Some summer and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I'm shooting out wild big I'll do something else.
When he used to call me up on stage or whatever, I'd always have a fag behind me, or sometimes a fag behind each ear, or a fag on the dog end. And he always used to bloody nick me fag and lie up, you know, thanks Al. So he used to say something about, thanks Big Al for not singing tonight. Or if I'd been singing, he'd say, well, he was someone near approaching halfway reasonable. And that's That's the little thing. I mean, in actual fact, someone here approaching halfway with that sort of double negatives or even whatever. But that was Tony.
The main thing with playing with Tony was it was an honour really, because the thing is, somebody that good. I mean, never mind that they were world famous. He wasn't world famous. It didn't really matter. That wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it because I enjoyed it. And the thing is that I had a really good time playing with him. And I reckon over the years that I've known him, I must have done between 250, maybe 300 gigs, possibly even more with him over all those years. And they were great fun. They were really, really good fun. There's one or two that I'd never like to go back to, you know, and some I never did go back to. There's quite a few probably people didn't want me turning up at, but I'd still get there, sort of thing. But I had a really good time. It was really good fun. And the worst of it all is now he's gone. I miss it. I really do. And I'm sure I'm not the only person, but from a playing point of view, I definitely miss it. And I wish he'd come back, but I can't. Now, there's only two guitar players I've ever seen that I can really think of immediately who could play rhythm, could be the only guitar player playing rhythm guitar, and they'd come a solo and they'd play it, and you wouldn't notice that the rest are finished. Mick Green out of the Pirates was one of them, and Tony was the other. Now, I've never ever seen anybody a trio do Shadows numbers the way Tony did. Now the thing is that Shadows numbers, you've got to have a rhythm guitar, a bass guitar, lead guitar and drums. Well, Tony's doing it as a trio most of the time, you know. I mean, if I had gone to see him and wasn't playing, it was just a kid. How he managed it, I don't know. And regardless of which guitar he used, it always sounded like the real thing, you know. It was just wonderful. I think he must have been a natural for it. He really did.
Always got to be one track you can't use, isn't it?
Well, what do you say about Tony? I first met him in 1971, which is a long time ago, and I knew him for a long way through my life. Some aspects of it I would like to tell people about as truthfully as I can. I made a shed. I made a shed by various devious means that in the end cost me 50 quid. But it was a good shed. So I decided to have a shed warming party. The concept was Tony and the band would play for a reasonable amount, and we get some other musicians in to join in the fun, and the party ensued. It was great. Total cost of shed, including party, £250. The old bill didn't arrive till 2:20, and by that stage of the evening everyone was so far out of it we didn't care anyway. And that started the ball rolling. Since then Tony's played, to my knowledge, in 5 or 6 semi-outdoor gigs at people's houses, and for those people that were there, they were absolutely wonderful. For those people who didn't bother to come, you missed it.
Because I mean, that is a shame that there is no videos of the Adam and Eve, because that was Victorian. And then he got all Pete up there, right, which you've met him, haven't you? You've spoken to Pete, haven't you?
Pete Harris.
Pete Harris.
Yeah.
How many pubs did you ever go and see Tony and you paid on the door? Eh? No. The Adam and Eve, Terry at the Adam and Eve, I can never forget this. He was good. Terry turned round and said, when the bands are in, chaps, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to put a penny a pint. A penny a pint. I mean, who's going to pay? Who's going to quib about a penny? Nobody. So all the guys that were drinking well were paying the extras. Oh, there were some ding-dong dudes. He played for the people. He played for himself as well. He enjoyed doing, you know what I mean? I mean, to me, you were Tony. Tony was CSA. I remember Tony with Les and Terry very well, right? And as I say, they go back years with me, them two, with Tony. And I suppose in a way the final one came for me, which topped it for me. I don't think it'll top any for anybody who had given the opportunity. And that's when he did me wedding. That was one ding dong of a do.
I get down on my knees.
manager, the British Legion manager, come over and asked about the band. Was talking to me, and I said, "What's Tony and all this?" And I said, "Oh, while you're here, what time we got to close?" He said, "Just leave it going for a while. We're all enjoying it next door." And I went, "Oh, magic, okay." The old Tiger's Head, right? I have never yet found. I don't think you'll ever find. And I don't think anybody's ever going to repeat that atmosphere.
We went to the Tiger's Head one night. I saw the band that Tony played with, because he was CSA, change considerably over those years. And many incidents took place. But the one thing that I really remember Tony for at Tiger's Head was the night that the governor got shot. It doesn't happen very often in pubs that we go to, but it happened that night, and the band played on.
In the castle, big Young's pub at Tooting. And apparently he was playing there one Sunday lunchtime and his fucking great ruck's gone off. And the bands kept playing, as they do. And apparently the landlord has come out from behind the jump with a double-barreled 12-bore and let one barrel go into the ceiling. Everyone stopped. And he said, he's pointed the second barrel, he's gone, "Right, I've got a second barrel here, you bastards. Pack it up." And he's pointed it at Tony. "You play." You can imagine, can't you? You can imagine. Because of course when the gun went off, the band stopped dead. And it's silent.
Well, they didn't when they shot John.
Well, apparently they did this time. I wasn't there, as I say, but that's
The closing of it.
I'll tell you a story about that shooting. The pub stayed open for about a month after the event, before the landlady was so scared that she gave it up. During that period there was a lot of police activity in the vicinity of the Tiger's Head Lee Green, to the effect that there were lots of plainclothes policemen all tooled up waiting for anything else to happen. So Tony had got in there one evening and he was sitting in the front bar of the Tiger's Head talking to a detective of some sort who was very high up in the rankings of the gun-toting policemen of the time. They were discussing guns, because as most people who knew him know, Tony loved guns. The policeman was jealous of Tony because Tony had a lot better guns than the policeman had access to. They were sitting there, Johnny Blunt come running in. He'd come rushing up to Tony. He said, Tony, have you got any whiz?" And Tony turned round with a straight face and said, "No, John, I'm sitting here talking to this detective." No, have you got any whiz?" "No, John, I'm sitting here talking to this detective." At which point, Blunty clicked, went white, and the copper just laughed.
Is our fault the law? One.
Oh,
were driving along once, I was in Heather Green, I think it was, and he said to me, how fast do you reckon we go? And I said, no, about 30. He said, no, we're doing 29. I said, why? He said, well, I could be stoned, I could be drunk, I could be anything. He said, but at 20 miles an hour, I'm not going to get a tug from the old belt. He said, and as far as I know, he never did.
If he'd have been, probably if he'd been breathalyzed, he'd have probably failed and been booked for that, but his driving, he could have passed his test, you know, he didn't put a bloody thing wrong, you know, and he's a little drop here, you know, and his driving there is absolutely perfect driving, you know.
Because he would never drive at 30 miles an hour, he'd drive at 29, not 28, not 30, but 20.
I've been in that ambulance doing 60.
No, he's wonderful. It was a one-off, or as he used to say, never mind 1 in a million, he was one in a raffle.
Oh, and speaking of raffles.
Raffle time, raffle time. Welcome to Sunday night at the X. To be honest, he was one of the best entertainers I ever remember. Man was just magic. That's my favourite word, as they all know. He goes back many years through this club. He was a great member. Everybody loved him. You only have to see with the amount of people that used to attend. I think everybody can remember him back from the 60s through the years. He played with various groups. He was a brilliant musician, great entertainer, enjoyed a laugh. I suppose many times, probably one of the biggest things I ever had any problem with him was getting him to start. Because everybody was talking to him, and that was the sort of guy he was. He'd go around having a chat and forget to start. He caused me no end of trouble, because half of them wanted him to start and half of them wanted to chat. Having said that, I remember him purely as magic. He played with various groups down here, and every time, unfortunately, for most of the groups, he took the lead. Everybody wanted to see Tony. I don't know what it was with the man, but his life was music. He gave it all.
Hey, Tony was evil round a drummer. He would destroy drummers. He had a new drummer and he would just take them apart. He'd play things at double speed and just destroy them. I mean, ask any drummer who ever worked with and they would tell you the same. He just destroyed them. Have a look at this young photo of this man. See if you can guess who it is. Working, or 2 or 3 years of working with Tony Collett. This is what happened to this man. Drummers beware. There's Bailey, another fatal drummer. He was the guy that came up with the name CSA and suggested it to Tony, and Tony liked it, and that's how it originated. It's all really due to Les Bailey. Thanks, Les. Great. I mean, look what happened to this drummer. The man destroyed him.
The first time that I ever saw Tony Vincent was at Carshalton Park a long, long time ago, somewhere around about 1969 I think it was. And he was playing a gig with Screaming All Such, with the Rock and Roll All Stars. Now we hadn't actually gone to see the Rock and Roll All Stars, we'd gone to see a band called the Rockets, who was a guitarist, was a friend of mine. So consequently, when we did see the Rock and Roll All Stars, we thought, wow, this is some band, you know. It was the best rock and roll band of its day. And I was very impressed. And I didn't see Tony again for some time. Next time I saw him, actually got to talk to him, was at the Gun in Croydon. And that used to be quite a wild Friday night out. You'd go down there on a 54 bus, end up getting completely slaughtered and then trying to get home somehow. I was an aspiring young drummer then, and I really thought that by meeting these people I might get myself a gig. Little did I know that I would eventually end up playing with Tony. Anyway, some time went by and my aspersions as a drummer were getting less and less. And then out of the blue, a friend of mine came knocking on the door and said, Tony's looking for a drummer, are you doing anything? So I said, no. So anyway, I went along to a pub called the Telegraph in Brixton on a Tuesday night, I think it was, or Monday night. And Tony was playing there. They had two gigs there, Monday night and a Friday night. I went along with my drums and bashed my way through the first night, and Tony said, yeah, you'll do. And that was it. I don't really think he believed it, but you know, I was the only thing he could get at the time, and that was good enough for me because I was earning money, £2 a night. Friday night I got £6, which was real big money then. Anyway, that was the beginning. That was about it really. That was all we was doing at the time. We was doing the Telegraph on this Monday and Friday night, along with other bands that used to turn up on Saturdays. And then after a while we started getting other work, bits and pieces, various clubs here, there and everywhere. And then we started to go to Southend. And I always remember it because Tony used to come around and pick me up in his laundry van. And we'd hurtle down to Southend at 30 mile an hour in this old van, just me and him. Do the gig, end up getting drunk. And then normally we'd stay at Bazzy's Cafe, which was along the front from the Curzon, which involved more beer and severe hangovers the next day. Shortly after that we started playing at the Fountain in Tooting. And it was around about this time that the idea for a name change for the band came about. Because at that time the band was called Rockmobile. But unfortunately, Tony's stage clothes consisted of a t-shirt with these iron-on letters which said Rock Mobile, which was really Pugsley. I just thought it was stupid. You know, a friend of mine suggested, why don't you tell Tony you want to be called CSA? Which I did. I said at the time, why don't we change the name to CSA? Which he didn't go much on, because he thought that was even more stupid than Rockmobile. Anyway, I explained to him that CSA stood for the Confederate States of America, which is where most of our music was coming from. Anyway, we had a big row and it all got forgotten and we were still called Rockmobile. And then one night at the Fountain in Tooting, Tony decides, out of the blue, that we're no longer going to be called Rockmobile, we're going to be called CSA, which came much to our surprise. Anyway, that's where it started, CSA at the Fountain in Tooting. So all you people that was there were there at the beginning.
time that I met Tony was when I was 12, which would have been 71, 72 about then. And just to put me on the family map, Tony's brother Alan had gotten together with my mother, and we were down in their parents' house, Claremont Avenue, because we were on holiday, I suppose, just visiting down there. And Tony had come round to see a guitar which they just bought from my older brother. And he walked in, and he was this guy covered in tattoos, slicked back hair, a voice which came from the soles of his boots, and to a youngster like me, he looked like the kind of character that you'd want to avoid, really. But he seemed to be a nice enough guy, and he thought the guitar was alright, and then he went. And I didn't see him again for 2 or 3 years, until the wedding, when Alan and my mum got married. Tony, of course, played at the wedding, along with Terry and Les. By that time, he'd been finished with the Rock and Roll All-Stars, and this was, he was into Rockmobile, which of course later on became CSA. I can't remember much about him at the wedding because I didn't really get a chance to talk to him very much, being one of the youngsters and not being with the adults and not knowing him anyway. But I do remember being amazed at how long he played for, and I thought to myself, how on earth can he remember all those words to the songs? How can he remember where to put his fingers on a guitar? I was amazed. And he played for a long, long time, dozens and dozens and dozens of songs. And these were not rock and roll songs, as I came to know him do for hours on end. These, I suppose, were earlier pop songs of the 50s or whatever, I don't know. But he knew millions of them.
Tony loved people getting up to sing, you know. I remember he asked Johnny Angel up one night to come up and sing. But there might have been some ulterior motive. Check this out.
The old piles was playing up, so went to the doctors and he whipped me off to hospital, and I had a little operation, right, and come out of hospital recovering from it all, and you know, my first day out went down a Stour, probably on Sunday night I suppose, and I didn't know who done it at the time, but somebody went up and made a request for me, and Tony's got on the mic after he'd finished the number and said, right, here's a special request just for Eddie. So I looked round and thought, you know, what's this all about? It ain't my birthday or nothing. And he said, I've been asked to play Ring of Fire. He knows what it's all about, he'd understand, he said. And I'm looking round, everybody's laughing, oh, you bastards, you know. Who done that? Stitched up.
Ring of Fire.
see when all it's like I was through. I fell for you like a child. Oh, without a while. I fell into burning fire.
There's one thing that Tony should be remembered for. He always admitted his mistakes, because how many times have you heard him say shit when he hit a bum note?
So Tony's got to bed about 2 o'clock Saturday morning, up at 5 to do the milk round, back home about 11 for a cup of tea and 40 winks, back round in the afternoon to collect the milk money Saturday afternoon, and then pick me up, drive down to Western-super-Mare, Breen Sands, and we got there about 9 o'clock in the evening, and I can't remember the name of the man who puts it on, who does...
Johnny Hale?
Is it John O'Hale does Breen Sands? Anyway, whoever, but he's fucking tearing his hair out, because like Tony's due on at 11 and we didn't get it till 9 o'clock.
Blue days, black nights, blue tears keep on falling for you, dear. Now you're gone. Blue days, black nights, my heart keeps on calling for you, dear. And you alone. Memories of you make me sour. I gave you reason to doubt me, but now you're gone, and I have left you all alone with the memories I think of you. Blue days, black nights, I didn't realize I would miss you the way I do. But now, somehow, I know I must pay for those times I have made you blue. Memories of you make me sorry. I gave you reason to doubt me, but now you're gone, and I have left you all alone with blue memories I think of you.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was sitting around the table in this club in Dusseldorf. There was myself and Jackie, Mark and Jill, Stuart and Big Al. So there's 6 of us. None of us are in the band or related to any of the band. Because Lisa was there as well with the band. And about every half hour, one of these German Teds from this club would turn up at the table with a round tray, and there'd be on this tray a dozen of the little half-pint glasses of German beer. No charge, just for our English friends. They were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They just couldn't believe that these 6 crazy English people had travelled sort of 24 hours halfway across Europe to see a rock and roll band that they could see every Saturday night in their own town for nothing. They just couldn't believe it.
Well,
Tony get the song Till I Walk Again With You? Well, that came about after I'd been with the band for about a year. Our other friend Dave kept feeding Tony with some songs. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? This will suit you. And Tony really needed some new material. I mean, he was still doing Fats Domino, he was still doing Little Richard, but it was getting a bit stale. And Dave came up with this song, Till I Walk Again With You. Now Tony, being Tony, didn't tell anybody that he was learning it. He learned it on his own. And there we were one night, can't remember where, he started playing it, we had to play along. And that was pretty much how Tony's band went. Everybody who worked with CSA joined the same way. You turned up and you played whatever he played. Didn't matter if you knew it or not. If you couldn't play it by the end of the night, you played it. That was all there was to it.
I ended up living in Kingston, and I worked in a pub there, and obviously looked up Tony, and ended up being a regular at gigs. I'd very often go out with him in the van, with Ed, like it's not there as well, and Ed would come along in with his Panther and sidecar. Sometimes if the gig was local, I'd go in the sidecar with Ed. He never knew this, but I used to always close my eyes. One of the things that struck me about Tony was, despite the fact he drove very, very slowly, he always got there, and he always got home. Very late sometimes, because we probably always stopped for a kebab or something, but it very often didn't give us much chance to sleep. I was round and about for 3 years or so, and for the final year I was down there, I ended up living at Basil's house, and by this time I was frustrated. I really badly wanted to play the guitar, very badly. Both my mother and my father are musicians, and I suppose it's natural that I should feel the need to play as well. And Basil took me out to the music shop, helped me buy a guitar and a book, and I took it home, practiced and practiced. And Tony said, just do it. All the time he said to me, just do it. Just pick the thing up and do it. There's nothing to it. And I thought, well, that's easy for him to say, he's been doing it for donkey's years. And anyway, I practiced and practiced. Sometimes I'd sit down with him after a gig when he was talking, and I'd pick up his guitar and say, well, can you explain this and do a bit? So you did this, can you show me how that went? And he would show me, and I'd copy him. And I said to him, well, how does that fit in with it, you know, musically? What's the theory? And he said, well, I don't know. I just know it works. And he had lots of these things that he would do, and you would hear them crop up in various songs at various stages, and he had all these little things, and he would put his own solo into songs. I got to know what he was doing, where he was doing it, and that was all right. But he didn't do it the same way twice, ever. It was really frustrating to somebody that wanted to say, well, I know what he's going to do next, and understand it, because he'd come out with something I'd never heard before, and he would have known that for 20 years as well.
Tony Vincent, I'll never forget, I've been in this game, well, I've been here for 22 years now, and when I first came around here, the fountain was the place to drink, and Tony was the man who used to be on there, and I thought I'd really cracked it with the Teddy boys when Tony came in here and said he wanted his chest to be done. You know, that was my introduction, shall we say, like, to the Teddy boy fraternity. And once you tattooed Tony Vincent, then everybody would follow. And I did a big eagle on his chest. I didn't like it very much. It hurt him a little bit. Although he probably said afterwards that he didn't feel a thing, but he did. And once I tattooed Tony Vincent, I was one of the boys. The fact that I tattooed Tony Vincent, I think, made my credibility with the rock and roll crowd, because in those days it used to be a rock and roll tattoo shop. We used to have a big jukebox in the corner there, all the rock and roll on it. Everybody needs to be a Teddy boy, and it was good days, you know. And the good thing about Tony Vincent, you see, he never ever took he never wanted our money. He always wanted to do what he wanted to do because he liked doing it. And if you went to a Tony Vincent do, if you went to a CSA do, you know, the worst you'd have to pay was £1 on the door, but usually it was just 10 pence on the pint. And Tony wouldn't, either it was a pretty little girl who'd come round with a hat or a cup or something, we used to put plenty of money in it because he'd give us a good time, didn't he?
On the banks of a river, surrounded by yelling and green. On the other side of the river, still is loving Indian babe. A little white dove was a honey, such a lovely sight to see. But they tried to fall with each other, so that love could never be. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love in the air, speak of the sky. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love that can die. He couldn't swim the raging river, 'cause the river was too high. He couldn't reach his little white dove way on the other side. But in the moonlight, he could see her blowing kisses across the waves. A little heart was beating faster, waiting there for her break. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love, yes, with the sky. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love that can die. Now early bed, jumped in the water, little white dove, still the same. As they swim toward each other, till the swirling sea became. As their hands touched and their lips met, the raging river followed down. And now they'll always be together in that happy hunting ground. Turn yourself, love little white dove, with a love, yes, in the sky. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love that can die. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love, yes, with the sky. Now early bed, love little white dove, with a love that can die. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yeah, well, I used to go and see Tony, not regular, but, well, in a way it was, I suppose, because he was like #1 band at the time. I mean, this is like late 70s, early 80s. I didn't actually, well, I started singing with Tony when I was 17. Not all the time, he'd like call me up every now and again and say, come up, do a couple of numbers, which I really do appreciate, it was good at the time. And then when I had my own band, Starlighters, he'd say, oh, we got Big Jim and the Lamplighters up. Which was like good. Went on to form my own band, but I didn't do it until I was 28. Which is a long time between 17 and 28. It was only because Tony went, well, I think you should actually start putting your own band together. Not because he was fed up with me getting up with him, but he was giving me that nudge to say, well, go and do it yourself. And I've never looked back since. A few hesitant times where I've gone, oh, I don't know whether we should do this, or is this going to work? But I just think, well, Tony would have said, well, just do it and see what happens. If you feel you've got to do that, do it. I suppose I owe him a lot, really. I wouldn't be doing what I do now if it hadn't been for Tony saying, well, I think you should actually go out and do it yourself, put a little band together, just do what everyone else is doing to start with, just do the material that everyone's familiar with. And that's how I actually got started with it. It was Tony talking to me, dropping me off one night from a gig, wherever it was, and he just gave me so much encouragement.
On many occasions, he'd have people get up and play with him, just simply because they said, can I get up and play? He never asked, can you play? He said, yeah, we'll get you up. He used to have a laugh with some of them. He'd get up, he'd get them playing something, and then halfway through he'd change it. We all know that, we've all seen it. But it was good fun. Something you expected from Tony. He never went out to CSA gig thinking he was going to have a bad night.
Playing with a gig with Tony is that all the familiar faces would be there, and yet there would be a few faces you've never seen before, and then they'd come back the next week and somebody else would be new. You know, so I remember people used to say to me, "What's CSA mean?" I said, "I don't know. It's a Clapham Salvation Army for all I know." You know, I know
Child
exactly.
support agency now.
Exactly, yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, I knew what it was, and I think other times they did as well. But you know, if somebody said, you know, tell me what somebody out of CSA looks like, you know what he looks like. He's got glasses and he plays guitar. And it didn't matter who else was playing there. Tony could do a gig on his own and it really wouldn't matter. People would still come over and still have just as much fun as if the full band had been there, you know.
Didn't matter who Tony had behind him. He was CSA.
Down
we was playing at the Adam and Eve over at Hackney, when a friend of ours over there, Tattoo Pete, asked me would I like a drum skin paint. So I said, yeah, fine, you know. How much? And he said, well, we'll worry about that when it's done. So off he went with a drum skin under his arm, and he come back a couple of weeks later with what's now the infamous CSA drum skin. And here we have it. Quite a remarkable bit of work. I'm proud of it, and so should Pete be. And I'm glad I've kept it all these years. Although Tony did, on many occasions, try to tempt me to sell it to him for the princely sum of £2. But he never did get his hands on it, and I'm pleased about that, 'cause it's the only thing I ever got out of it.
Guess what someone's found in our archives? Now, she don't want to be named or seen, do you, Liz?
No.
But it's an autograph of Gene Vincent. A few years later, guess who see it? And he signed his name on it. Tony Vincent. And whose autograph is it? There she is.
Hello. Phenomenal.
Playing at a college in London somewhere, and we got there, settled the gear up as usual, and all these young students turned up. We started playing, and they was all leaping around enjoying themselves as students do. And from out of nowhere came this woman, and she must have been 60 years old if she was a day, dressed like a gypsy of all things. And nobody really knew who she was or who she'd come with, but she just appeared anyway, and she was leaping around. And she took a shining to Tony. And somehow or other she managed to get herself on the stage. She kept cuddling up to Tony and kissing him on the cheek while he's trying to play. He's trying to sort of laugh it off. And then it started to get more and more serious, and she started taking her clothes off. And eventually it ended up with her nearly naked, with all the bits hanging out. And it's the one and only time I've ever seen Tony absolutely horrified at the sight of a naked woman. Oh dear, God rest his soul.
But that was the thing, is you could go along and it didn't matter who was there, you know you'd get on really well with them. And you'd probably know them anyway, and if you didn't, you soon would, you know, so it's always good fun. The atmosphere at Tony's gigs was great fun. And quite often, I've done gigs where I played bass because somebody hadn't turned up, you know, or they hadn't turned up by the time we started, you know, so it wouldn't stop us from playing. I just played bass. And on a few occasions, of course, Tony played bass. And what really got me was, he not only did he play bass, he played bass and sang. I feel really jealous of that because I can just about play bass. I can just about sing, but I can't do the two together. Not like he could anyway.
just do it. I've been telling you for months, just do it. You ought to do it. It's the best way to learn. So I said, oh, that, right, grand. I'll just come along and join in one night. I'll sit in with you guys. And much to my amazement and shock, he said, yeah, that's just do that. We'll do that. And I thought, after the shock had passed, oh, why not? It's, you know, if it's a good way to learn, then there's no better way. And I was certainly familiar with the music because I'd been hearing it 3 times a week for a couple of years. So. And unfortunately, Basil thought it was a very bad idea because he knew just how good I wasn't, and that knocked it on the head. He went on holiday shortly after, and Terry stepped in for him, and I thought, well, this is my chance. And Tony said, right, well, we'll go for it. And he picked me up in the van, took me down, and it was the Leslie Arms in Croydon. And Tony gave me lots of encouragement, and said to me, well, keep the volume down a bit, back off just a little bit. If you don't know it, don't play it, but don't mime it. Don't make a fool of yourself, because people will say, oh God, he doesn't know it and he can't play it. Just stop playing and pick up your pint, and then people will think, oh, he's having a drink. So I thought, well, that's fairly solid advice, you know. But Terry kept me right on the things that I wasn't too sure about, and I didn't need any encouragement to play quietly. But it went quite well, and when we had a break, Tony was full of encouragement, and he said, well, I could hear you do this, or that was really good. He didn't say anything about the bum notes I'd been playing, and I was immensely relieved about that, because there had been a few. And he said, you're obviously listening to what's going on, and you're doing very well. And at the end of the night, nobody had killed me or anything like that, and some people had actually said, well, I didn't know that you played a guitar. I thought, well, I couldn't have been that much. People didn't run off, you know, didn't frighten anybody to death. And Tony came over and said I'd done really well, and he was going to give me some money. And I thought, wow, because I hadn't expected any. And in his usual over-generous fashion, because he's famous for being, you know, very generous character, he gave me a whole £5, which I still have. Now I've got this £5 note. This is the very one which he pulled out of his wallet and gave me that night. I've written on it, the 7th of August 1982, Leslie Arms, Croydon, and it was a Saturday. And it was the first money I ever earned playing a guitar. And I'm immensely proud of it. So I had it framed. I've earned a lot of money since then, but no £5 note really has meant as much to me as this did, because it was the first, and completely unexpected as well. And I think he might have bought me a kebab that night too, so you never know.
Tony was a big influence. The range of material Tony did was unbelievable, really, because it seemed as if Tony could do any number. It'd be like, you go and see him one week and he'd do like one sort of set, and you'd see him the following week or a few days later or whatever it was, and all of a sudden there's different numbers. And it was just, he had so much of a repertoire, it was unbelievable. And that's what influenced me the most, because he was versatile. I've seen him playing guitar, seen him playing bass. It's just like, I didn't want to be exactly like Tony, I just wanted to be up there doing that sort of thing myself. And he did give me a lot of encouragement to do that.
That's in fact what I want one day is I'll have a look at his songbook, because there's millions of songs there. The thing about playing with Tony was it didn't matter where you were, there'd never be enough time to do the songs. No matter how long you'd be playing for, he'd have more songs than we'd always have time for. If you played for 2 hours, he'd have more songs to do that you really wanted to do. I used to, half the gigs that I ever did with him, I kept thinking, well, why didn't we do such and such a number? You know, we didn't do Mystery Train now, we should have done that, and we should have done something else. I think there wasn't enough time, and Tony had millions of these songs left. It really did. And what's happened now is I know millions of songs, but I don't know how to sing them. And the thing with Tony was he could just call them up and he'd do them straight away.
Well, come on, pretty baby, let's sail the beach for 'em. Well, come on, pretty baby, let's sail the beach for 'em. Hey, city sweet mama, let me see you shake your shoe. Well, come on, pretty baby, let's sail the beach for 'em. I believe pretty baby gonna be gone a long, long time. I believe pretty baby gonna be gone a long, long time. Hey, city sweet mama, I can show you a good time. Well, come on, pretty baby, let's sail the beach for 'em.
Yeah, and Tony said it was all big time. Was used to be down the fountain, and Tony was on about he's got his new LP coming out, Stockade, and it was recorded down at Tooting in the studios in Mitcham Road, Tooting. And every night in the fountain he was there with the sound engineer and the Summit mixer and everything. And everybody says, why is it called Stockade? And I quite didn't understand, you know. But anyways, Palomine Vic, the back photographs on the back of the album was of motorcycles outside I remember a guy called Vic used to be there, and all took it in the back of the fountain. And when the Stockade come out, I didn't quite understand the cover. I really wanted to see a girl jiving or something with showing a bit of stocking tops or something, like we used to do down the fountain, but it's got something Stockade. I didn't understand it. Anyways, I bought the old pairs, did everybody else, and it used to jump. So then the next time we went down to the fountain, Tony says, now if anybody's got an LP that jumps, we'll take it back and exchange it. So I took my LP back and I exchanged it, and the one that I exchanged it for jumped. And so the next week Tony says, if anybody's got an LP that jumps, we'll exchange it. So we did, and it still jumped. So I'm divorced now, but I left my ex-wife with Tony's Stockade LP. It probably still jumps, but who cares? We loved him.
And now, Mr. CSA!
The old Tiger's Head one night, Tony gave me his well-known kissing signal that he wanted a cigarette. So, when we used to go to the old Tiger's Head, Simon and I were in the habit of rolling a few, shall we say, special cigarettes that we kept in the tin. And I lit one of these and put it between his lips. He wasn't expecting it.
While he was playing an instrumental.
He was on the instrumental break of whatever number he was playing. He was playing the instrumental break, and he took a drag on this on this cigarette, and his face was a picture. I do believe that he thought I did it on purpose.
Well, you did.
Well, yeah, I did. Going from that club in Slough to the Axe, which was sort of East London, Hackney, wasn't it, somewhere?
Yeah. It was in Bethnal Green Road.
It's New Year's Eve, and we're travelling across central London at sort of 1 o'clock in the morning. Half of West End's all roped off, isn't it? Roped off to traffic. Trafalgar Square's all roped off around Piccadilly Circus, all that. And I can't tell you what road we were coming in along, but we were coming in a road from West London, having come from Slough, and Tony sort of said, we come to this, can't go along where we want to go. Ah, where do we go? Where are we going? Hackney, how do we get there? And Tony's turned to me in blind panic. And I just looked at him and I said, look, if I knew I had to navigate as well as fucking roadie, I'd have asked for more money. And he didn't think that was funny.
people down. And I remember another instance where I had a phone call from an agent asking if we could go to Denmark for 2 weeks, going to Copenhagen, play a club over there. And I thought this was a brilliant opportunity, as anybody would. The only problem was that it meant leaving like the next day. So I phoned Tony and said, look Tony, we can go to Denmark if we can go tomorrow. And Tony said, bugger up, he said, I ain't going over there. He said, we've got a gig at the Adam and Eve or somewhere on Saturday, what are we going to do about that? And that, that was Tony again, that was his sort of loyal thing, And after things like that happened, you had to wonder why, and he always said that like he was better off being a big fish in a small pond than a little fish in a big pond. And I suppose that's really how Tony sort of got his fans, because he stayed loyal to them. He never went off to become a pop star, never moved on from his rock and roll music.
These next few shots, these are great. This is we had some great times down the old Tiger's Head at Lee Green. We had some fabulous times there. These shots are of Tony's birthday, and as you can see from the shots, he was given a cake, but I got the strangest feeling that he might have found something better to eat that night. Anyway, enjoy these. I'm looking at a flyer for one of Tony's gigs, and It's the last gig that Tony played at. It's the Magpie's Nest in Bromley on the 2nd of July, 3 days before he died. The previous night, on the Friday night, he was playing at the Pavilion. Great turnout, as always. Some good nights at the Pavilion. This particular night, on the Saturday, Tony was competing with Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was playing at Wembley. And a lot of Tony's punters went to see Cash. And Tony wasn't too upset about that, because if the truth would be known, Tony would sooner be going to watch Johnny Cash anyway. Anyway, he did the gig, and at 10:30, a minibus turned up, and all these people piled into the club where Tony was playing, that had been to Wembley to see Johnny Cash. And directly Cash walked off the stage, they were in that minibus, down to Bromley, to catch Tony for the last half an hour. This is the measure of the man. CSA, Tony Vincent, he'd pull him from anywhere. Terrible news about Tony dying. And I went round to see the family, and the thought occurred to me, a showbiz sort of tradition is for someone to get up and speak about the guy, you know. So I asked the family if I could, like Kim and Vinny and Lee and the guys, if I could say a few words. And they said, great, that'd be great. So I did it. Oh, wow, that was the hardest gig I ever did. It was bizarre because I had to get up and just speak like I'm doing now to a camera without the protection of a guitar or a band around me. And I kind of feel safe with that. But to stand up there and talk in front of all those people, there was a lot of people at that funeral. I found it really odd. And I thought and thought for days and days about what I was going to say, and it had to be right. Because you only get one shot of this. And the night before the funeral, I didn't get much sleep at all. I think I was up half the night. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. I was sitting in my kitchen and thinking about what I was going to say, and these lines occurred to me that I thought I'd finish with. And the lines were, although we all loved Elvis and Buddy and those legendary rock and roll stars, if there's a star in our rock and roll heaven today, he plays a Gretsch Tennessee guitar. About the song The Rock and Roll Man. Yeah, we gave it to him as a gift, and he played it. And I wasn't there at the time. Peter gave him the tape. And he said that although it was written specifically for him, he said that would be a nice song for just in its own right, just a nice song. And I appreciate that. And that was the end of it, really. That was the end of the episode. I'd written a song, given it to him as a gift, and he liked it, which was all I intended to do. Then he died, and the entire song took on a strange new meaning, and I started to feel quite guilty about the fact that I'd written this song. And the more I listened to it, the more it came across to me that it was like some sort of weird premature thought I'd had. Because at 47 years old, you don't expect people just to go like that. And I listened to it today, and I still feel slightly, not as if I'd caused it, but I was slightly guilty about the content of it. But people would have to understand that it was written when he was alive, and that he enjoyed the song himself. But the fact of the matter was, he never got super famous. He was kind of a legend in South London, in the rock and roll scene, but fame for his talent, and he was a huge talent, no question about that. The fact of the matter, he had so much talent, and that he never got famous through it. Like in the lines of the song, fame had left him lying and bleeding at the side of the road, where other people that had far less talent had become famous, and he had never done it. It seemed ironic, really. But the chorus of the song was, if life is a song when we each write a line, and the most we can hope for is that it'll rhyme. That's perfectly true. I mean, we all make a mark on life somewhere, and Tony Vincent made more of a mark than anyone that I personally know. And his legacy was that instead of just writing the line that we can all strive to do, he actually left us a verse.
He's given more pleasure in a life situation to many more people than Elvis. He knows thousands of people who all call him friend, but Jack Daniels is the one who stays to the end. His life is a song, and we each write a line, and the most we can hope for is that it'll rhyme. We all leave a legacy, for better or worse. And the rock and roll man wrote a verse. Yes, he did. The fame's left him lying and bleeding, bleeding at the side of the road. But I'll be there to bring the body home. If they measure the distance between Buddy and Gene, and Gene and old Buddy and me, there ain't nothing like the rock and roll man, what the rock and roll man ought to be. He's got more country than Waylon and Willie, more boogie than old Jerry Lee. He's got more soul than Aretha and Otis, and a damn sight more feeling than me. Yes, he has. Left him lying and bleeding, bleeding at the side of the road. But you know, I'll be there to bring his body home. He was weaned on Sun Records, grew up on Atlantic, grew up on Atlantic stacks. Cut his teeth on London, America. Became of age when he picked up an axe. He's a creature of habit and an impulse buyer. He's tried every chemical his body desires. He's beaten the devil to death with his wings, and the rock and roll angels sing. Yes, the rock and roll man still sings. But fame's left him lying and bleeding, just bleeding at the side of the road. But I'll be there to bring his body home. When the years take their toll on the body, soul, and the music is just a disguise, I'd have sold my soul to hell just to see him look well, for a piece of relief in his eyes. If life is a song and we each write a line, the most we can hope for is that it'll rhyme. We all leave a legacy, for better or worse, and the rock and roll man wrote a verse. Don't you know, oh Lord, how love does hurt. Bless you, rock and roll man.
Well, there we are. Well, of course.
Star in his own right. And Tony was a star. to everybody that knew him, to all the musicians that played with him. And he had some good musicians over the years working with him. And I just hope that everybody remembers Tony for what he was, and for what he'd done for rock and roll, and for what he'd done with his fans.
If I had my way, I'd leave here today. I'd move in a hurry. I'd find me a place, some place I could stay, and not have to worry. A place I'd feel loose, some place I could lose these Tennessee blues. I'll find me a spot on some mountain top with hills all around me, with valleys and streams and birds in the trees and lakes that surround me. A place I feel loose, some place I could lose these Tennessee blues. Someplace I could sleep, nothing but peace.
A little bit of us got buried with Tony that day. The biggest funeral I've ever seen in my life. Well, Vincent and Big Uns. That's a mark of how much we all respected and loved him. And a little bit of us went down that hole with him, you know, a little bit of our youth. That can never be recaptured because there was only one Tony Vincent.
I can say I'm proud to have known Tony. He'd done a lot for me.
Yeah, he was a friend.
I'll always be sad and regret very much the fact that Tony and I could never get together again. I had always thought, there was always in the back of my mind this thought that one day there would be some family occasion that we need a band for. Until the day I die, I will always regret that I didn't go down there when I had the chance and just do it. A couple of years after he died, my mum sent me some words for a song. They were putting together a video for members of the family, and she thought it'd be nice to have a song about Tony on it. And I thought, well, yeah, nice thing to do. And I had to look at it and I thought, well, I don't know about this. And it's very difficult, I think, to actually to focus a song on a particular person and make it real for that individual, I suppose. But I messed about the words a bit, and because it was a song about a guitar player, I stuck in a couple of snippets of Shadows things which he used to do, and went to studio, recorded it, My mum likes it, which is really good. Anyway, it might be round and about that song, and if you hear it and you like it, well, great.
He was only 9 years old when he played his first guitar. Played it in a classroom at a junior school bazaar. No one knows what songs he played, but we know he played a storm. Everyone there just stopped to stare and then shouted out for more. His first band was the Orbits, then the All-Stars came along. Different lineups through the years to help him play his song. But Tony, he was searching until there came that day when he found what he'd been looking for, a band called CSA. And he plays a little country, and he plays a little soul, but his heart was never in it till he plays that rock and roll. His voice was rich and true and broke young hearts like voices can. And we're more than fans, you understand. He was our very own guitar man. Played the strings and he could sing, but he couldn't read a note. There was magic in his fingers and a warm voice in his throat. The rock and roll came pouring out. He played it from his heart for a passion-filled night that thrilled right from the very start. And he plays a little country, and he plays a little soul, but his heart was never in it till he played that rock and roll. His voice was rich and true and broke young hearts like voices can. And we're more than fans, you understand. He was our very own guitar man. Now Tony's gone, but still lives on in our memories. Just close your eyes and time's gone by. You're there for you to see. I know we never will forget all those real good times. Tony lives within our hearts and lives within our very own guitar man. Oh yes, God bless Tom.